Glad to know you stay with us. The Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, has suspended its earlier announced 800% increase in navigational charges in response to the directive from the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development. This decision was made to address the current economic challenges faced by Nigerians and prioritize further consultation and sensitivity to their needs. Joining me for this, I have Sean Mendis, Aviation Analyst. Thank you, Sean Mendis, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I also have with me Engineer Nnamdi Udoh, Aviation Consultant and Air Safety Infrastructure Expert. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Right. Engineer Udoh, let me begin with you. Let's get your thoughts on this reversal. What do you make of it?
Well, the reversal means that there was no full consultation ab initio. Normally, there are protocols and procedures for increase in charges, etc. I just would expect it was an ambitious expectation of NAMA, and the minister had to reverse it quickly because for such a thing to happen, there will have been back-ended consultations, stakeholders meeting, and NCA will have to approve. So I guess it was a mere anticipation, and if wishes were horses, then they would have had an increase of 800%.
Well, 800% sounds, I guess I won't comment on that. Let me get your thoughts on this, Sean. What do you make of this reversal? Something you expected?
I think, he's absolutely right. The issue is not as much the 800%, but the way that it was imposed unilaterally. Situations like this require consultation with stakeholders. It requires that there's a longer period to phase it in. It affects a wide range of airlines. And you can't just simply come out and say, especially when you're a statutory organization with a monopoly service provision, you can't just come out and say, we're going to raise your prices by so much. So, it's not to say it won't actually happen in the future, but it'll happen after proper consultation and a period. And, once all the stakeholders have their input into it.
Right. Let me come back to you, Engineer Udoh. Now, one thing that comes to the fore now is aviation survivability amidst a challenging macroeconomic environment. And I'm going to probably speak for NAMA, not necessarily speak for NAMA, maybe act like the devil's advocate here. For NAMA, it says it is cash-strapped and relies on statutory fees and charges for managing the airspace. Now, what do you make of the agency's, funding model? And do you think something has to give, or the agency itself needs to think outside the box to solve its funding challenge?
You hit the nail on the head. NAMA needs to think out of the box. Before now, there were issues of private jets not being allowed to come to Nigeria. At some point, we open the airspace. Anybody can come. The airspace is as infinitum. Anybody can come. Today, we're crying of increase in private airline operations in Nigeria. That's revenue for FAN, for NAMA, and STAA. And somebody woke up one day and said, why am I restricting my airspace? Why am I saying people should not use my airspace when the airspace is at infinitum? Come. So NAMA need to do the same. There are a lot of decommissioned facilities in remote sites in places like Borno, in Kwara, Potiskum in Borno, Gwasero in Kwara. Those are large space of lands that were being used for viewers before. Just giving an example, they can turn those land properties to something else. We have also recommended NAMA being a destination management part of the aviation industry in terms of airspace management. NAMA can go into all other things that will raise money. You could NAMA Hotels Limited, NAMA Transport Limited. There are just so many things NAMA can think out of the box and raise revenue. In any case, the funding model of NAMA was based on statutory fees being paid by operators. But we know that all over the world, every aviation organization is thinking of other sources of revenue. And that's where I will expect them to call stakeholders, call professionals and aviation economists to think and propose other sources of funding for NAMA.
Well, engineer, we can't overemphasize the economic pressures faced by the aviation industry, which of course is exacerbated by global economic volatility, fuel price hikes, and also currency instability. How are players navigating this challenging time?
Say that again?
Okay, I'm talking about the fact that we have a challenging environment right now. We have currency instability, we have economic volatility, we also have fuel price hikes, all of these affecting and impacting the sector. So how are players navigating this challenging time?
Well, we have long said for fuel, for example, Nigeria needs to invite Nigerian Society of Engineers, invite aeronautical engineers. We just need to have a production line for aviation fuel. There is no escape route. We must survive. Thank God the minister has begun to walk in that direction, talking to manufacturers, looking for leasing. But like you know, every minister goes with this stamina. Every minister starts with this inertia. How it diminishes along the line is always an issue. So I think there must be continuous conversation in the direction the minister is going. He should not renege. But don't forget, when ministers come, because they have executive and political power, the tendency to bring humility to listen is always a problem. So if the minister could just tone down some of the political tendencies and play more with professionals, you can't take it away. It's not a question of coming on TV for a debate. It's a question of going into necessary cocoon for metamorphosis that will produce a flying color for the industry.
I'm afraid, engineer, we're pressed for time.
There's so much to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about, actually, but I'm pressed for time. So I'd like to take Sean's thoughts on this particular one. Now, I'd like to generalize it here. Looking generally at Nigeria's aviation sector, what for you are the overarching challenges, especially for airline operators? We'll close on that.
Well, I think, Nigeria is somewhat unique in the world right now in that the airlines are struggling there because airlines worldwide are probably in the greatest boom phase in aviation history. I mean, you're looking at record revenues and profits being being announced by airlines such as Delta, Qatar, Emirates, Ethiopian, etc. So I think this is actually more indicative of a structural issue with the Nigerian aviation system. And I think this whole NAMA thing is indicative of that. If you're looking in terms of comparison, NAMA has not raised their fee since 2008. At the time, the Naira was 120 Naira to the dollar versus 1,300 Naira to the dollar today. So even an 800% increase is not even keeping up with inflation. And in an industry where so many costs are dollarized and are pegged to hard currency, it's very difficult for the infrastructure to maintain its levels that are needed for a healthy industry to thrive unless they're able to keep pace with market rates. And even Nigeria's.
So Mendis, like I said, I apologize. I know there's a lot to talk about, but we're really pressed for time. Thank you so much. Sean Mendis, Aviation Analyst, for your thoughts. And Engineer Nnamdi Udoh, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.